Guys, it is I, Juan Caparas, and I'm back with another character modeling video for you guys. So this is part of my digital art series here on my YouTube channel. This is pretty much a series where I go over most of my finished digital works, okay? And I pretty much just go over it with you guys so you guys see how I make them, you know? So you guys will definitely see my process, my creative process, as well as my thinking process on how I make these creatures and sculptures, okay? Now, I know this isn't really, you know, mask making or sculptures. I know most of you guys are a huge fan of my masks, you know? And I know this is digital, but if you think about it, it's pretty much the same thing, okay? So most of the stuff that I'll be talking about are obviously pretty technical. I'll be going over a lot of things in certain programs, but in a way you guys will still be learning from whatever video I put up, even these walkthrough videos, mainly because I'm pretty much talking about design, okay? Design and sculpture, because that's pretty much what you do. Even if you're doing sculpting in ZBrush, okay, you still have to think about the design process, and you still have to sculpt, okay? So clay or digital, it doesn't really matter. It's pretty much the same thing, okay? So that's that. And now this is actually one of the first videos that I'm actually going to create for you guys in which I've graduated. As you all know, I've recently just graduated. I graduated September 26th. So it's been like a couple weeks ago, but I can't believe it. You know, I've graduated from the Art Institute of Los Angeles. I graduated with a visual effects degree, Bachelor's of Science. So I can't believe it, guys. We made it. You know, it's ridiculous. And now I'm definitely looking forward to working out there in the entertainment industries as a 3D artist, 3D or visual effects artist, okay? So yeah, that's that. This creature that I'm actually going, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot to mention one thing. I'm actually using my new laptop right now, my new Alienware M18X. So you're probably wondering right now, why did I get two? Well, first off, the new Alienware models, especially the M18X, they recently released a version in which it's packed with like the freaking NVIDIA GTX 880. Okay, that's 16 gigs of RAM, video RAM. I can even prove it to you guys right now if you guys don't believe me. But this machine that you guys are looking at right now, the desktop, even though it looks exactly the same as my other laptop, this has 16 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of video RAM. Remember, the video card that I chose for this particular piece of hardware is the NVIDIA GTX 880M series. Did I mention it's dual? So there's two of them working inside this, and each one is 8 gigabytes. So as a result, I have 16 gigs of video RAM. All the games that are graphically heavy in my machine right now are playable all in high settings. Wow, I'm practically packing like a desktop right here, but you know. So but yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that if you guys want more information on the specs, feel free to comment on this video or send me a private message somewhere. I'll definitely tell you more about my new amazing machine. This is definitely worth the money. This is definitely worth all my hard work. This is ridiculous. And also, the reason why I have two is so that I can use my old Alienware, and of course this too as well. This will give me more flexibility and efficiency when I'm rendering things. Okay, as you all know, rendering is a term used in digital art and as well as computer graphics, in which the computer calculates all the math to make it look cool, okay? So I'm sure you guys know what rendering is, most of you, but for those of you who don't, rendering pretty much is the process of calculation to make the 3D model look good, okay? So all the details that you guys put onto it, the textures, the reflections, the lighting, That's pretty much what rendering does. It calculates everything and makes it, and it pretty much creates the file image. Okay, so now that I have 2 laptops, I have double the power when it comes to rendering. Alright, so that's good for me. Okay, so this will save me a lot of time. And of course, for gaming purpose, I have a better machine, obviously. Alright, so that's that. So those are pretty much the extra stuff that I need to tell you guys to start off this video. So anyways, this creature, Malignant, is a pretty interesting creature. This is pretty much an organic creature. Organic meaning it's made of flesh, okay? Flesh and muscle, humanoid. That's pretty much what organic means. The opposite of organic is hard surface, which is obviously cyborgs, transformers, robots, anything in that nature. Alright, so anytime you guys mention me saying organic or hard surface, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. Okay? But yeah, that's that. This creature is interesting because it's actually going to be featured in a live action psychological horror short film. And then what's interesting about this short film that Malignant is going to be featured in, it will be my very first collaboration. Alright, so I'm not going to go over it too much in this video because I don't want to spoil anything, but this short film, whose title is the same name as the creature's, Malignant, it's pretty much a short film in which you know what, never mind, it's pretty much a psychological horror short film, and it just happens to be my first collaboration. And I'm actually collaborating with a good friend of mine in Texas, who's a very talented writer and a filmmaker himself. So yeah, I don't know when this will be released. I'm aiming for December, somewhere in December, hopefully. But you know, so you guys pretty much get a sneak peek on what the creature looks like on that short by watching this video. All right. So yeah, I think that's that for the intro. That was a long intro, sorry about that. But like I said, as always with long videos such as these, the chapter skips can always be found in the description below. Okay, so if you guys are tired of my ranting, if you guys just want to skip ahead, you can do so. Okay, so please don't forget that the chapter skips for my long videos will always be in the description below of the video. Alright, and of course the symbolism of the creature, the backstory behind it, you know. And that's that. So now let's move on. For each and every character modeling video that I do for you guys, there's a very important process that I share with you, and this is very vital for the design process. Even if you guys are doing you know, traditional clay sculpture, you know, as well as masks, definitely masks. The process that I would like to go over right now is the references. So I have it pulled up right here. So notice these are pretty much the references that I pulled off of the internet to help me motivate the design for Malignant. Okay, so overall, for the most part, when I first designed Malignant in my head many months ago, around the beginning of this year, I believe, I wanted Malignant to resemble more like a tree creature. You know, like Groot in the Guardians of the Galaxy, but not really. Alright, I wanted him to be like a tree creature because the symbolism behind this creature is, it's pretty much, you know, the metaphor behind this creature is loosely based off of one of my own flaws in life, which is overthinking things and pretty much taking things small and scaling them to large proportions. Why? Because that's just me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm an artist or it's just because I think too much. Maybe both. Alright, so I pretty much wanted this creature to look like a tree because when you overthink things, guess what happens metaphorically in your mind? Alright, you pretty much plant a seed that endlessly grows into other things that are probably not even true. Alright, have you guys ever experienced that before? Like, if you're a really jealous person, you know, you can easily fall victim to overthinking because the smallest idea can grow into something a lot more bigger, okay, when it's actually not. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at with this creature. I wanted it to look like a tree creature that looks like a living tumor, a malignant tumor. Alright, that's why it's really black. But I'll explain more of the symbolism at the end of this video. But anyways, overall, this is pretty much the reference. That's pretty much what I'm trying to talk about. Alright, now these references can be anything in particular. What I actually do is I mix my references using fictional concept work, like these pictures right here are obviously works by other artists. I pretty much just Google shadow creature, and this is pretty much what I got. So like I said, Malignant, I wanted it to be really dark in terms of color and attitude. So these images will help me achieve that in terms of the design, okay? And also, obviously, trees. You really want to get real pictures of trees and how they look. And so look at here. Look at this. Isn't that awesome? Like, I don't know what kind of tree this is, but I like how the I don't know what to call this. Like the spiral branches seem to just wrap around the main branch. So you will actually see that in the final creature. You would actually see me use this, you know, natural growth of this particular tree as the detail of Malignant's body. And here, since, like I said, since this creature is based off of overthinking, I think it will look cool if I make a brain for it. Okay, so there's a reference picture of a brain, how it looks. I'm sure this, I don't know if this is a real brain or a replica, but it looks real to me, so I'm going to use that. Here's another reference of a creature that's a tree creature. So again, I just love how this looks. It's cool studying other people's work, and you can definitely learn a lot by just looking at a simple drawing or a photograph. Alright, so here's another reference of a tree. Now this right here, this is an actual drawing that I did. Sorry about the quality. I scanned this, but this is actually in my sketchbook. But this is pretty much what I want the face to look like, the head. Alright, so notice how it's really organic, you know, bark-like. It actually looks like this detail right here. So this tree right here, you see how it spirals down, it wraps itself around the main trunks. It actually looks like that right here, so it's pretty cool. The plan that I had for this creature is I wanted it to have circular eyes with eyelids, and the eyes themselves will be pure white and it will glow. Alright, so there's a material in Maya. I have my own shader in Maya that allows me to make it glow, so you'll definitely see that later on. And of course, here's the hand. You know, definitely want it to look like a tree, so it's definitely gonna sprout like these twig-like branches, and it will look really creepy, in my opinion. So yeah, that's that for references. Again, guys, this is really important for any artist. It's important to look at reference because it pretty much stabilizes your mind in terms of creating the idea itself, alright, from the ground up. Using reference such as these will help you ground your mind, okay? It will help you, like I said, it will help you stabilize your mind. So instead of like creating what you think is there, you actually have something to look at to reference your design on. And no, this is not copying, this is completely different. You're pretty much just taking the elements that you love on each picture and combining them into your own. Okay, like I said, I love how these details look on this particular tree right here, so I'm gonna apply that later on to the design. I like how the roots look right here, so I'm obviously gonna apply that in the design. I love how the eyes look right here and how ominous this creature looks, and I'm obviously gonna take that, you know. So do you guys get what I'm saying? You're pretty much taking the best elements on each reference picture and applying them to your own design. That's the importance of reference, okay? Reference makes your design more accurate, okay? It doesn't make it very fictitious, if that's a word, or fictional, I mean. Like I said already, using reference pretty much grounds your mind. Alright, it pretty much sets your mind into place, so you know exactly what you need to do. Alright, so that's the importance of reference. This is called a style sheet. It's pretty much a collection of images into one page. I actually also have a physical copy of this, so I don't have to look at it in the screen. Alright, so again, for any artist out there, I recommend you guys do this for each and every piece that you do. Okay, try your best to not create things just relying on your mind. You kind of have to rely on pictures too. Okay, now of course you don't have to do this every single time. I'm just saying, when you're designing a creature that's going to be used in animation or production, it's important to have references. Alright, and I think I've stressed that enough already. So now let's move on to the first stage of creating this creature in ZBrush. Alright, so here we are in ZBrush. This is a method using, I'm pretty much going to build this creature from the ground up using ZSpheres. You could probably tell where the name came from because you're literally using spheres and linking them to each other to create limbs, you know, a humanoid piece. Now, of course, you don't have to use ZSpheres to create, you know, limbs. People use them for something else. In this case, I'm using it to build the body of my creature. Alright, to start things off. Later on, you will actually see me use ZSpheres as a way to create the branches as well. Alright, so this is a really good method to start things out. ZBrush is a really powerful program because it lets you do anything on the fly, and here's an example of that. So here, again, I'm using ZSpheres to create the branches that you guys will see on Malignant. Here, I'm actually just modifying different branches so that you don't end up with the same look. So here we are in the first subdivision, I believe. Here, I'm just roughing out the base structure. The thing is with ZSpheres, once you actually extract the adaptive skin from it in ZBrush, you end up with a really, you know, tube looking character, and that's obviously not correct, so you kind of have to begin adding the muscular mass on this. Alright, and also to tweak any proportions. You will notice that I actually exaggerated a bit on the length of the arms. I wanted them to be really long, not too long of course. This will definitely give off a creepy silhouette. Alright, so also, if you guys don't know what silhouette is, I believe I went over this in my fan page. If you guys are keeping up with my fan page, you know, the vlogs in my fan page. I'm sorry, it's a YouTube video actually where I explain what silhouette is. A silhouette is pretty much the positive space of something. Okay, so if you have a good silhouette, people will how do I say this? People will translate your character more easily if it has a good silhouette. Alright, so I'm pretty much going to explain that later on, but a silhouette is pretty much the positive space of something, and that's really important in terms of design. So here, I believe we subdivided, so this is the second subdivision level. When it comes to subdivision levels, I usually sculpt, or I usually mess around with the proportion and the mass structure, you know, the muscular features and stuff like that on subdivision 1, 2, and 3. Around 4, that's when you start doing the details. So here, since we're in 2, I have more polygons to play around with. As you could probably tell, you could definitely see there's more squares or rectangles to play around with. So as a result, I could start with, you know, blocking out the main muscular mass. So here I'm doing the triceps. I already blocked out the biceps too, as you could probably tell. And there's also the rib cage, the pectoral muscles right there. I wanted this creature to look good in terms of anatomy, because I wanted it to look not too much of a creature, but I wanted it to have some sort of humanity in it. And what I mean by that is I don't want to go too far out with the creature design of this particular character. I wanted this to stay grounded in reality. Like, I wanted this to look human to a certain extent. So in order to do that, you kind of have to sculpt the anatomy. You'll notice that this creature is a biped, so it's standing on its two legs. And notice how the hands there have a good start. See, this is what you can... The ZBrush is definitely one of my favorite programs. It just allows you to do a lot of things, you know? Notice how it hasn't even been... what, like a couple minutes yet, and you could tell that, I know this is time-lapse, but you could tell that you can definitely have a good start on any model that you do if you use ZSpheres. Like, it's just a good way to start things out. It's a good way to build the limbs roughly on any character instead of doing it all in Maya. Now, of course, that's not the... You could also... Everyone does things differently in terms of CG, so someone may not use ZSpheres to create their creatures or characters. Someone might do it traditionally and start in Maya. That's how I did it at first, but now I switched it to ZBrush. I figured I worked better in ZBrush in terms of starting out characters. So here I'm just building out the hands, shaping it correctly. Here I'm roughing out the forearm muscles. There's actually two of them, two main ones at least. And see how it's starting to form up now. You'll notice that I hid the lower part so I could sculpt the inner part of the arms, because it's a bit hard to sculpt if there's too many things going on at once, so you kind of have to hide certain pieces. So here's the fun part, pretty much just going over the head, roughing it out. I cocked the neck a bit forward. Like I said, this was an interesting design process because, like I said, I didn't want this to be a full-on creature, you know. Like, I wanted this to have some human aspects as well. Like, I wanted it to have bits. I wanted it to have small parts of humanity. Like, I wanted it to still have humanity in it. So this is why I'm stressing out about the anatomy at this stage. I wanted it to look like a distorted human being, you know, as if... So here, just going over the arms. What's cool about creating things in digital is that you don't have to waste clay, you know. This is probably one of the advantages of being a digital artist myself, is that I'm capable of creating characters on the fly. I know this isn't something that you'll be able to touch, smell, taste. So it's not like clay, obviously, in the physical world where you can actually touch it. You can actually have physical contact with it. Now, you may not be able to touch your 3D art, your 3D clay, as what I'm doing right here, but you have more flexibility and options when you're working in digital. I'm actually proving that point to you guys right now. Notice how I'm actually building a full-on creature. Alright, now I could probably pull this off in clay too, but the thing is, with clay, you can do so much with it. Clay has its limits, especially for me. The thing is, when you're sculpting with clay in real life, once you're done with like a piece, what are you gonna do with it? You know, like if I created this creature out of clay right now and I finished it and it looks good, what can I do with it? That's the question that a lot of people miss. When people ask me, Juan, you should do this in clay. Well, the thing is, if you do it in clay, what can I do with it once I'm done with it? Like, is it just gonna be? Is it just gonna sit there, like, in my shelf and gather dust? The thing is, when you're making a CG creature or character, you're capable of rigging it. All right, rigging is a term that it's pretty much the art of adding controls to your character, your CG model. And once your model has been rigged, you could pretty much pose it. All right. Depending on the rig, you could pass it off to a person who knows animation, and they can animate it. Like, do you see where this is going? When you do a CG model of a character or creature, you can do so much more with it. Alright, you could pose it, do some cool renders with it, edit it in Photoshop. You could animate it, put it into a video game or a movie or a short film. And you can do so much with it. Like, it's so you're really flexible when you do something in 3D. Now, of course, you do have to sacrifice physical contact. You can't obviously touch it, which is a shame. But there is a thing called 3D printing, which is a completely different process that I have no knowledge of yet. All right, so that's pretty much that's pretty much what I'm trying to tell you guys. Since the beginning, when I got into digital art, there's so many things you can do digitally with characters and creatures that you cannot do in clay. My future in terms of in terms of career is definitely a lot more flexible when I'm doing 3D art. The thing is, with masks and clay, I can always do them anytime I want, but as a job, as a career, that's not really something I want to do. I want to keep it personal. I want to keep it as something that I do in my own time, in my own home. I don't want masks to grow into something that I cannot control. I don't do masks for the money. I do it because I love to do it, whether people buy my work or not. So I really don't see mask making as a way to get a job, at least for me. I'm more into 3D when it comes to career-wise. Like, this is something I would really love to do as a job, as a career. 3D art, digital art, visual effects, that's my thing. And this is why I'm proud of myself, because I found an alternative other than masks that can help me build my future financially. Masks can only take you so far. You really can't rely on masks for financial stuff. You know why? When you sell your masks, like, is it enough to support yourself, your family, your dream car, your house, your bills? That's not enough. It really isn't. I mean, for a hobby, I mean, it's good like selling masks, like, it's good to get like extra money in your pocket. That's it. You really can't rely on it for your life, but that's just for me, of course. It may not be like that for other artists out there, but for me, mask making overall is just a hobby. Alright, so if you guys don't like, if you guys disagree with me, well, you're gonna have to get used to me. You're gonna have to get used to me saying that to you guys, because my journey here in California allowed me to become a digital artist as well. Alright, so anyways, I lost track right there. I don't know what subdivision we're on. I believe we're in 4 right now. So 4, I'm done with the muscles, like the structure of the muscles, and now I'm just slowly starting to work on the details. Okay. So it was really interesting with the head, because it was something I struggled with I didn't know at first. I didn't know what I would do with it. Like, I don't know if I should start off with human proportion and then, you know, start off from there, or if I should start off from creature. I think what I did here was I started off with basic human proportions on the face, and I pretty much just did my own thing. You'll notice that the head itself it's really strange. Like, it's an interesting shape for a creature like this. So, like, the jaw is pretty much elongated, the face is pretty long, so this is all part of the silhouette. Like, I don't want this to look human, I don't want this to look too much of a creature at the same time. Now that I have like a base structure for the muscles, I'm pretty much just going over them, adding more mass if I need to, you know. I also wanted this creature to be slim. You could see his muscles, but he's not buff and strong. So yeah, you could tell that I'm always really interested in looking at my own time-lapse, you know, videos such as this. Like, it's really interesting to see the process, and hopefully you guys can learn something from it. Even though some of you are traditional sculptors, you can still learn something from this. You guys are watching my process, and that's really something not a lot of artists do today, which is a shame. Like, they always hide their process. I'm the opposite. I'm one of those people who would love to motivate and inspire and teach people my ways, because I know it will definitely help you guys in the long run at some point. So here I'm adding the details based on the reference that I got on that tree, that one tree. So I'm definitely giving it like all these twisted features to it. So adding more, I should say, slabs of branches. I don't know if that's the right group of words to describe it. The abdominals are sculpting right there. So overall, notice how we're not even in the extreme detailing stage yet. We're only on Subdivision 4. And notice how much detail we have achieved. When it comes to digital sculpting, like I'm sure you guys have heard of me. I'm sure you guys have heard of me say this many times. Try to get as much detail as you can on the lower subdivisions, because that will later help you in the long run. All right. So here's the part where I'm sculpting the hands. Later on, I think you guys will see me add the twigs to the fingers, which was a really tricky process, because at the end I ended up retopoing this piece for the sake of animation, you know, for rigging. Your model does have to have good topology, and it was really tricky to pull that off later on because there's so much branches. Like, the program itself kind of gets confused on how to calculate the edge flow and stuff, so I had trouble with that. So it's looking good so far. So here I'm just adding more mass to the quadriceps, because it looks a bit too famished. It looks a bit too skinny right now. It looks like he hasn't eaten in such a long time, and I kind of want to get rid of that. So here I'm just adding more stuff, beefing it up just a tiny bit, not too much. Now what's cool about this, every character that I do, I'm learning more and more about anatomy without wasting clay, you know? So this is, if you guys, I know some of you are not a huge fan of my digital work. Some of you just want masks. I don't blame you. But the thing is, when I'm doing digital art, it's benefiting me. Okay, it may not be something that you guys want to watch at a daily basis or weekly basis, but this, you know, doing this, like digital art, creating creatures and characters, this is helping me with my anatomy. You know, this is helping me with my proportion, my detailing skills. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it's almost clay sculpting. Like, it's almost the same thing. I'm still exercising my creativity, I'm exercising my anatomy skills, my proportion. It's still art. Like, does it really matter if I create masks or digital stuff? It's art. It's me. This is my persona. I'm a digital artist, a filmmaker, and a mask maker. Alright, get used to it. For those of you who are still not used to me creating these. But really, this is, like I said, it's helping me a lot, creating these characters and creatures, because it's not really something I would do in clay in real life. So I'm really flexible with that. I have a lot more options when I'm doing digital stuff. So this is what I'm trying to, so here's the process of creating the fingers. So same thing, I'm using ZSpheres, making it look really intricate. So I'm doing this for each and every piece, or I'm sorry, each and every finger, I mean. And same process, once the ZSphere is done, I'm gonna extract the skin, so you would end up with geometry. This is really, I just love watching that part, like just creating the twigs from scratch, especially using this feature in ZBrush, the undo time-lapse feature. It's just really interesting seeing the whole process. So now here's the part where I'm tweaking each twigs. You'll notice that I also I scaled it up a bit. Now here is the feet. You'll notice that he's actually standing on his toes, and that's because on his heel will be these potato-like roots. So these roots are different from the ones on the fingers as well as on the body, because the roots on, or branches, the roots or slash branches on his feet are much more thicker, because it's his feet. You kind of want him to be stabilized, you know. And that's one thing that I also want to go over when you're designing characters and creatures. It doesn't mean you have creative freedom, you can do whatever you want. The thing is, you kind of have to not only think about anatomy, but you have to think about its balance. Like, if this creature was real, will it be able to stand up based on its anatomy and proportion? Will it be able to be balanced, you know? So this is why I created very big feet for him, to support all that weight above him. Now here's a cool process. I'm pretty much taking the branches that I created from the fingers earlier, and I'm positioning them in a way that will look really natural and cool for this creature. And I believe, and there's also the brain. I feel like I forgot to record, or I think one of the files got corrupted while I was recording the sculpting process for the brain. So unfortunately, you will not be able to see me create the brain for this video. But for the brain, if you guys want to know how I did that, I pretty much used a feature in ZBrush called wow, I blanked out for a bit. But I pretty much just started out with a basic sphere, and I just carved in the details for the brain. And here we're still in Subdivision 4. You'll notice that I changed the material of the creature so I could better visualize its final paint job or texture scheme. So here I really wanted the branches to integrate with the body. I wanted them to look like they were growing out, so I'm pretty much making the wrinkles the like the growth areas, so it actually looks like so at the end it will actually look like it's growing out. I don't know what to call that. I think it's I forgot. Like, I don't know. There's certain things I can't really describe, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So everything's looking good so far. You'll notice the eyeballs are right there. I will do the eyelids later on. Oh yeah, and at the end I will also show you guys the final creature in Maya, all rigged. There's the eyelids. So again, we're still in Subdivision 4, I believe. Or are we in 5? I think we're in 4, lost track. You can tell that we're still in a low subdivision because you can still visually see the polygons. But overall, look how much detail we've achieved on the body. Even though we're in a low polygon or subdivision level. It's just here going over the knuckles on the fingers. And you also notice that the branches that I did earlier on a separate piece for the hand, you'll notice that it's one piece right now. And what I did for that is, I keep forgetting that feature. This feature in ZRush, in which I forgot the name of right now. It pretty much allows you to sculpt as if it was in clay. Like, you could pretty much do whatever you want on a particular object. You could stretch it as far if you want, and it would actually fix the mesh for you. I forgot what it's called. It's not Z-Remesher. It's not clay polish. It's Dynamesh. There you go. Wow. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did for the brain, as well as merging the fingers and the branches for the fingers. It's called Dynamesh. It literally works like clay. Like, you could take two pieces together and merge them into one piece, and you can continue sculpting them, which is the cool part. So it really works like clay. And again, that's what I did for the brain, as you can see right there. And it sucks that you guys can't really see that process, because I pretty much start out, like I said, with just a regular sphere. And I just began sculpting the brain. So you also noticed that I wanted this to look like a really somewhat of an old creature. I made the throat, like the skin in the throat, like sag down just a bit. I think it gives it a really nice humanistic approach to this piece. So, looking good so far. Here I'm just adding some more slabs of clay in certain areas, beefing it up just a bit, working on the structure. So here I'm adding more I don't even know what to call that, like more tree-like features, more slabs of clay. Definitely I wanted this creature to look good on every single angle. And here also I also did the same method using Dynamesh on the roots on his feet. So that's how I achieved everything in one piece. I don't know if this is retopoed already. I can't really remember if I did that at this point. But at the end I'll definitely show you guys the topology once this is in my all rigged and textured. This creature is starting to shape up. I love it. This is definitely a fun piece to do. Here I'm just going over the feet. I don't know why, but every time no matter what character I do or creature, I always forget to sculpt at the bottom of the feet. So I'm just adding some More slabs. And I believe we subdivide, I'm not really sure. The thing is with digital sculpting, it takes a lot of patience because unlike clay, when you're going up the subdivision levels, you do have to sometimes you have to resculpt and go over what you already had before. And that's just how it is, because as you go up the subdivision level, the subdivision levels, your details at the lower subdivision levels tend to like smoothen out. So I mean, what do you expect? You're getting more polygons, so it's inevitable that they will, you know, still look the same. But here I'm just adding more details to the face, and this was really fun to do. Just adding the repetition of the slabs, the tree-like detail. This is really fun to do. And it really does give off that sinister look. I mean, if you're looking at it as a whole right now, the branches, the brain, the black color, even though that's not the final color yet, like it really looks like an evil creature. It really matches its name, you know, Malignant, meaning something very evil, very twisted, very wicked. Definitely looking forward to doing more, you know, doing more 3D stuff. This is really something I really love to do as a career. So I really can't wait to work at a big time studio soon, or a local studio somewhere, as long as I get experience. Later on, when it comes to adding the bump and, you know, the texture, I actually ended up using a real texture based on a tree. You know, like the bark of a tree. I made an alpha out of that, and I used that as a texture stamp. So I'm talking about it now because later on, we probably wouldn't have any time to talk about it, because as you've noticed, if you guys have seen my past videos on character models, usually the texturing stage usually speeds by so fast, because I mean, it's just texture. Anyone can texture, really. But modeling, like the sculpting part, that's the, you know, that's the process that takes a lot of time. Texturing doesn't take that much time, believe it or not, as long as you know what you're doing. If you know Photoshop real well, that would actually benefit you in the long run if you're a texture artist. And later on, I also ended up using real photographs of trees and their bark, and I ended up applying it here on this creature. So looking forward to seeing that right now. Here we're almost done with the sculpture. We're about to cross over in a couple minutes on the detailing stage. So here overall, if you guys look at the body, everything definitely flows well in my opinion. Feet are looking great. Now here's the last pass of sculpting. Here I'm using the Damien standard tool. It's pretty much a brush that allows you to carve in. So notice how I'm refining the details as I go. This is pretty much where everything is starting to form up. This is where I'm getting all the fine details. Right here. Looks good so far. And there it is, there's the face. Using the Damien standard tool. Notice how it's beautifully cutting into everything, so. This is pretty much how I finalize my sculptures. I use the Damien standard tool to just carve in details so that they pop out more, you know. Here it is. Everything is starting to finalize itself. Definitely a good looking creature here. This is one hell of a way to sculpt something. I really enjoy this piece. Adding some detail in the hands. Now we're gonna work on the torso right here, adding some flow. you'll be surprised on the amount of detail you can achieve when you just repeat the same thing over and over. That's actually one of the elements of art, is repetition, and that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Notice how there's nothing really special on what I'm doing here. I'm just redoing the same thing over and over, adding those fine lines in certain places, and it just looks good from a distance. Everything is all unified together, everything is flowing great, in my opinion. Here's the fine leg detail. So same thing, like they're just lines, like nothing special. I guess it's just in the position and how you utilize those lines that makes it look good. And later on, when it comes to the texturing stage, I'm going to demonstrate a little technique to you guys. You pretty much go in ZBrush, you go to the masks section on the right side of the screen or the program, and I'm pretty much going to use mask by, I believe it's called cavity, mask by cavity. What it does, it's going to mask the little crevices on your model, and in other words, like you could pretty much fill in every crevice of this piece in like a couple of seconds, so I don't have to manually paint in every single detail, which is cool. So this is also the first character and creature that I created that utilizes 4K textures, 4,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels. That's a lot of resolution, and that's why at the end product looks so good. Like the textures and bump look really good. So here I believe we're adding the bump. Bump is pretty much the texture. You know, like as if, like for example, if you're gonna feel a tree, you'll notice that it feels really rough and rugged, right? Well, that's pretty much the bump, as what it's called in 3D modeling. So you'll notice that I'm actually adding real bark from a tree. I'm adding it really subtly, really gentle, because if I go too far into the model, all the details I did will just be covered, and I don't want that. So here I'm adding some bump on the twigs, each and every one of them. Looks great so far. And here, in terms of the brain, I'm using a Damien standard tool to just carve in details to make it pop more. It kind of sucks that you guys can't really see me create the brain from scratch, but at least here's some footage of me creating the brain, sculpting it. So the brain and the eyes are a separate piece, as you could probably tell. And here is where I'm texturing things, so check it out. Yeah, see, here's I actually used real pictures of a tree to start this off. So I pretty much started off using brown. So notice how I'm simply just covering everything with brown, or brown tree, I mean. So it really has that. So it really starts off with that wooden look, as you probably would have imagined with this creature. And then later on, in a couple seconds, I'm pretty much gonna go over it with blacken things out. So here's the second layer of tree bark that I added. It's a much more darker color. So it looks great so far. Does it look sinister? Not really, because of the color. I originally planned this to be just black. So you're gonna see me do that in a sec. So here I'm just adding the same textures from the body to the individual branches. So look how everything's all cohesive, you know, the sculpting details as well as the color, everything's working together, and that's what I love about texturing, because it's the final part of designing a creature, and it's pretty much starting to come alive, similar to how I airbrush my masks. Usually airbrushing is a stage in which you can actually see your mask come to life. So same thing with 3D modeling. Now here's the part where I pretty much just blacken everything. Not everything, but you know, mostly everything, to really give it that sinister look. The purpose of adding the tree bark texture in the first place is so that the model has something to start on. And here, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm adding some lighter tones. Like I said, I don't want this to be pure black. If it's pure black, all the details that I did, all the hard work that I did for the details will just be gone. So you kind of have to have some sort of varying tones for the color if you want the details to pop out and not get wasted. I love how it looks like burnt wood right now. Now that was the part where I masked the cavity, and I pretty much just covered the crevices with black, and you can see that right now actually. So notice how everything is all hand painted, or everything was all auto masked, so I could, you know, so I don't have to paint the crevices of each detail individually, which saves me a lot of time. Here I'm just painting the brain to match the color of the body, but also giving it like somewhat of a smooth tone, not too harsh like the body, so you can see it. So you can see the brain from a distance. And here we have it. The creature is pretty much done. Now I'm gonna show you guys some renders of the creature in Mental Ray and in Keyshot. So here we are, guys. Here's the final finished piece. Notice how beautiful it looks in Mental Ray and Maya. So look how the textures are crisp. I'm using 4K textures for the bump as well as the texture map. I finished this on January, February, March, April, May, June, July 3rd. Wow. So Here's the wireframe. This is something I hadn't really done before in my past characters. I pretty much need to show you guys the wireframe from now on, because that's pretty much the proof that this can be animated. You know, here's the ambient occlusion. You know, ambient occlusion is pretty much the self shadow. Remember that. It's pretty much a good way to show off the details. And here's some really fun poses that I did once it was rigged. This is in Keyshot now. This is not rendered in Mental Ray. This is actually the first character that I've created in which I utilized Photoshop to add a little bit of attitude to the character, and you know. So here's an interesting pose. Notice how the lights are glowing in Keyshot. Here's a cool picture. Again, I rendered this in Keyshot and added the extra elements in Photoshop. So here we go again. Here's another cycle, so you guys can get a good look of this creature once it's all done, or once it's in its finished form. Look at that. It's just beautiful, man. Like, so hopefully you guys understood what most of the techniques I went over. Most of the techniques I went over are actually pretty simple if you know ZBrush. So notice how for the wireframe a couple seconds ago, notice how the poly count was a bit high, and the reason why is because if it was a bit low, the branches on the fingers and the feet will look really weird. So I kind of had to bump up the poly count a bit, just so that the roots and branches can still maintain their volume. So here's Keyshot. Keyshot is a really awesome program for quick renders. You could really do some cool stuff with it. Here I'm only using one light. That's how you get that really nice low lit, you know, setting. This one, the light was in the back. This was backlit. That's why the light seems to be surrounding the creature. So that's how I got that look. So again, this is in Mental Ray. Usually I use Mental Ray for like character sheets and turnarounds like this. You know, the front side view. When it comes to the stylized renderings where the character is posed with extra elements on it, I usually do that in Keyshot and Photoshop. Alright, so please keep that in mind. So here's the wireframe, here's the ambient occlusion, looks great, the silhouette looks great, looks really creepy, especially with its long arms. There's all the hard work and details I did, you can definitely see them right here, arms. There's all the hard work and details I did, you can definitely see them right here. And now we're about to move on to the next segment of this video, the final segment. It's pretty much the segment in which I go over the character to you guys in Maya, so you guys can see the fully rigged version of the character, as well as the symbolism. So I'm going to talk about that too. Alright, so here are pretty much the renders. I have these uploaded to my fan page too, so please check them out, my Facebook fan page. And that'll be it for the renders. Hope you all enjoyed them. Can't wait to do more renders like this for future characters. Alright guys, welcome to Maya. So here's the last segment of every digital art video that I'll do. I kind of want to show you guys not only the process of creating the creature, as well as the design process, but also, and of course the renders, of course. But also I kind of wanted to show you guys what this character looks like when it's inside a 3D program such as Maya. So here's Maya. This is one of my main 3D programs I use aside from ZBrush. ZBrush, I only use ZBrush for sculpting and texturing. Maya, that's pretty much where all the magic happens, because this is the part where the character can be utilized for animation, you know, stuff like that. Okay? So this is pretty much what the character looks like when it's not rendered. So notice how the textures are not there. I can turn on the textures actually. So here's what it looks like. So again, this is not the rendered version. Alright? This is pretty much the version of a 3D model this is pretty much what it looks like when it's not rendered. Like, is that really hard to understand? You know. So for now, let's turn off the textures so you guys can get a look at the form. Okay, so this is pretty much Malignant in Maya. So let me turn on the wireframe so you guys can see the topology. All right. Notice how here are the twigs. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I think there's, if you guys look right here, there is a total of 163,549 polygons, which is obviously a lot, but like I said before, I need to up the poly count a bit if I wanted to preserve the branches right here. Alright, so this was all retopoed in ZBrush. So that's the thing. If you guys want your character to be in an animation, it needs to be rigged first. Now, in order for it to be rigged first, it has to have good topology. Okay, there's a certain flow that every modeler has to follow when it comes to animation, or when it comes to finishing up a model. So you'll notice that the topology flows cylindrically on the limbs right here, because if you think about it, it will, since it flows a certain way on some areas, like this right here, the shoulder, it will pretty much deform properly. Here, I'll even show that to you guys right now. Alright, so ignore the pink color. That's pretty much the color that shows when I select something, when it's in a, when the skin is binded to the skeleton of the rig. So anyways, here's the arm. Let me select it. This is pretty much what I'm talking about. You see how it's deforming properly right here? That's pretty much the important of rigging it, or I'm sorry, for getting it to have the right topology. Now, of course, some of you who are experienced with digital art, you will notice that I don't really know how to rig muscles yet. So there's a whole muscle simulation here in Maya. Here are all the tools. I don't know anything about muscles yet. Muscle rigging. Muscle rigging is pretty much rigging, but just a step further. Notice how in real life, when you're actually moving your arm, this part should be flexing. Like, this part right here should be pulling your pectoral muscles, which is not. Notice how it's just moving the arms right here, which is unrealistic, right? Later, somewhere in the future, I'll definitely learn how to do muscle rigs, but for now, I'm just sticking with regular rigging. Okay. So I'll definitely look forward to muscle simulations, because that's something essential for me as a 3D artist, in my opinion. So anyways, that's that for the topology. Now let's look at the rig, shall we? And later on I'll finish this video by talking about the symbolism and the metaphor for this character, this creature, and what it stands for. So here's the basic controls. Here's the control for the neck. See that? There's also the control for the eye glow, which you will not see because this is not the rendered version. But here are the values. You know, the maximum is 5. Here I made a control for the jaw tilt. Check this out. So if he wants to tilt his jaw in a certain way, you can do that. Here's also the jaw open. Now you'll notice that obviously he doesn't have a mouth, but I do want the control for the mouth to, you know, stretch if it wants to. See that? Isn't that awesome? Look at that. So that's the beauty of rigging your creature, your character. You can pretty much pose him any way you want. So that's good for renders. Now here's the oh whoops. Here's the blink. Check that out. There's a shot in this short film that me and my friend's gonna do, in which he opens his eyes and all you see is white. So it's really creepy, really cool. Now here's the neck. Here, let me turn off, there you go. Now here's the neck. Or the head, I mean. Yeah, wait, no, this is the neck control, while this is the head. So look at that, so everything's all good. Here's the clavicle control. Very standard for an organic model. Here's the upper body controller here. Here's the center of gravity, which is pretty much the root of the skeletal rig. So notice how I could control the gravity pretty much, or his weight. If he's weighing down on something, you know, I could do that. So all this is pretty standard. There's nothing really special about this rig, except for the special controls, like, you know, the face. I think that's cool. We got the lower control right here. Whoops. This controls the lower body, the twist. And also you got the standard finger or hand controls, the curl. Isn't that awesome? Look at that. Man, I really can't wait to implement this creature on that short film. So that's the rig, pretty much, at a nutshell. Here are the, oh yeah, that's right, here's the aim for the elbow. See that? So this is pretty much standard. I mean, I do this for all my characters. Same thing with the knee. If you want to aim where it is. Here's also the feet. And the foot roll, see that? And that'll be for the rigging, you know. So here's pretty much what he looks like once he's all rigged. So it's pretty much like an action figure, you know, think of it like that. I'm just proud of myself that I'm capable of doing this kind of work. Not only modeling and texturing a creature, but also rigging them so that they can be used at a live action shot or something, or an animation or short film. So it's really cool what you can do in the computer, you know. So many flexible, like, there's so many routes to go to, like, there's so many doors open for me when it comes to CG art for my future. So I'm definitely looking forward to working out there in the industries. Alright, and for those of you who are worried about my mask making videos, don't worry. Mask making videos will always be there when I need it, okay, at home, and that's the beauty of it. No one is pressuring me to do masks and videos, so I am always in full control of my masks and videos. So no one worry, I'll always have time for those, as long as you have the patience for me. Because masks and videos do take time. Any of my art takes time. But anyways, let's end this video with the symbolism. So again, going over what I've said from the beginning of this video, Malignant pretty much, he's pretty much the metaphor for my thoughts. You know, how my thoughts work. You will notice that this creature is obviously, it looks like a tree. You know, notice how there's a lot of branches growing, especially from the brain. That pretty much symbolizes how my mind works. When you tend to overthink things, and when you tend to blow things out of proportion, your mind tends to plant a seed, and it grows and grows and grows. And that's when you start to mentally torture yourself for no reason at all. And that's actually one of my flaws in life, is that as an artist, I think a lot, which is great, which is good. That's how I get all my great ideas, is just by thinking, by reading books, by listening to music, by watching movies. Now the problem is, when you think too much, when it comes to, like, you know, like love and relationship, that overthinking tends to ruin everything. So that I pretty much created a creature that symbolizes that, you know, that symbolizes that particular aspect in my mind that I sometimes cannot control. You know, that malignant tumor that has a mind of its own, that grows when I don't want it to grow. You know, so that's pretty much what this creature stands for. Alright? Overthinking. How it branches out. How it grows. You know, that's why his name's Malignant, is because overthinking to me is something wicked that I can't really control. That's why this creature is black, because black is to some extent the color of darkness, you know, evil, wickedness. And I wanted this creature to look like something from the dark, from the night, from the depths of your mind, you know. So that's the metaphor, that's the symbolism. Now of course that's what I see this creature as. Some of you might see it as something else. But for me, as the creator of this piece, that's the legitimate, honest metaphor and symbolism of this creature. Alright? It symbolizes my way of thinking, how I tend to blow things out of proportion sometimes, how I overthink things to the point where random branches of ideas grow from areas where it doesn't really need to grow, you know. But yeah, that's Malignant, guys. I believe I've said everything, so hopefully you guys enjoy this particular video. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of these videos and characters for you guys. And also remember, even though if you're not really into my digital work, you know, you're still, hopefully you are still learning at some form or another on how I do things as a sculptor, you know. It's just cool watching an artist do their thing. Like, is that really so hard to understand? Like, when you're watching the process of creation from an artist, you can actually learn more from that by compared from a teacher telling you to do things. You'll learn, I don't know about you guys, but I learn more through observation. When someone does it for me, like when someone shows it to me, I'm a visual learner, that's why. So hopefully you guys learn something from these videos, you know, as well as from 3D art. Hopefully you guys learn some terminologies that you'll hear somewhere else in this world, and you can definitely learn from the videos that I do, because I do talk about the process of digital art. So hopefully some of you can understand the vocabulary that I use. Alright, so but overall, if you guys have any questions on anything, just ask. I'm an open book. Alright, so yeah, that'll be it, guys. Please like my fan page, please show your support. All the important links of me as an artist are in the description of my videos. Alright, so please check them out. Please check out my website. That'll be www.juanfishercaparas.com. My website is the source for everything that I do for art. My videos, my digital art, my masks, my past masks, everything is in my website. Alright, so please check that out. Again, please show your support on my fan page. Please like it, share it to your family and friends. That'll help me out a lot. That'll be www.facebook.com/JuanFisherCaparas. Please subscribe to my YouTube, leave a comment, like, favorite, comment this, you know, do whatever, show your support my YouTube channel. If you guys have a Twitter, please follow me on Twitter. If you guys want to get exclusive updates of my art, you know, rants and whatnot, whatever it is I'm doing as an artist, you'll definitely find on Twitter only. Alright, so that'll be twitter.com/evilsaw13. And just to keep it, a new thing I also want to add is my Instagram. Alright, I'm not going to add a link to my Instagram for my YouTube videos, but I will tell you guys my Instagram. It is The Art of Juan Caparas. So follow me on Instagram. If you guys are following me on Twitter, you'll definitely see posts of my Instagram pictures on there. But if you guys want a direct link to my Instagram, it is simply instagram.com/theartofjuancaparas. Okay, so please follow me on Instagram. I just opened an Instagram account like 2 months ago, and I'm loving it, man. Loving it, meeting new artists in Instagram. It's really cool. Alright, so again, the chapter skips and the symbolism for this creature or for my characters will always be in the description below. Okay, so please always check the description of my videos, because the description of my videos do contain useful information. Alright, so please support me. Again, check out the links. That'll be it, guys. Thank you for another watch on one of my videos. I appreciate you guys supporting me along the way. This is ridiculous on how much support I've been getting throughout this past year for my work, and thank you for all the support. I really do mean that. Alright, and see you guys on the next video.